Welcome to the Family Innovation Stream information session. Today, we're going to start by introducing the Youth Opportunities Fund and the Family Innovation Stream specifically. We'll talk about the outcomes we're trying to achieve through the fund and how to determine if this granting stream is a good fit for your group and project. We'll also run through the basic steps to apply for a grant, go over the next steps, and let you know where you can get additional support. First, let's look at the YOF program as a whole. YOF provides grants and capacity building supports to grassroots groups and collaboratives to improve the well-being of youth and families facing systemic barriers with a focus on Indigenous and Black communities. The reason we place an emphasis on Indigenous and Black communities is because we know that historically they have been disproportionately impacted by systemic oppression, and today they face greater barriers to access. As a response to these inequities, YOF offers three different granting streams: youth innovations, family innovations, and systems innovations. Each stream focuses on a specific population and type of work. YOF funds independent grassroots groups and small nonprofits with annual revenue under $50,000. The group must exist independently of a larger organization or other nonprofit, charitable organization, or municipality, university, school, religious institution, and/or hospital. If you don't see your group reflected in this program, please feel free to step away. However, you are welcome to stay on, listen, and share information with your networks. What is the Family Innovation Stream and what does it entail? In this section, we will share key details about the types of projects we fund within the stream and the criteria for those projects. With Family Innovations grants, we invest in projects led by parents, guardians, and caregivers to improve the social and economic well-being of families and children. We define a parent, guardian, or caregiver as someone who is responsible for the physical, emotional, and economic well-being of children and youth. Our definition of parents, guardians, and caregivers is inclusive and respectful of diverse cultural and decolonized interpretations of these roles. This grant program is not for parents, guardians, and caregivers that are responsible for the care of adults over the age of 30. When applying for a Family Innovations grant, there are two types of grants you can apply for. Test grant. This is ideal for newly formed grassroots groups that are looking to explore and lead work in their communities. These funds can be used to try out a new idea that has the potential to make a positive impact on the lives of families and children. Research, learn, and understand more about a specific topic or issue. Bring parents, guardians, and caregivers together to discuss an issue and explore new approaches collectively. With test grants, you can apply for up to $100,000 per year for 1 to 3 years for a total of up to $300,000. Scale grants. These grants are for more established groups to continue offering strong supports and programming. To be eligible, these groups should have a track record of working together for at least 2 years, serving the same demographic they hope to serve with their Family Innovations grant. With a scale grant, you can apply for up to $150,000 per year for 2 to 3 years for a total of up to $450,000. A scale grant provides support for groups looking to expand or enhance existing projects to improve experiences or reach more parents, guardians, and caregivers. This could include making changes to your current programming to increase impact, increasing the frequency of program activities, making it available to more people, or expanding into new geographic areas. If you are interested in a scale grant, we have a specific webinar just for scale grants. Please check out our Eventbrite page for more information. Projects funded through this grant stream are delivered by grassroots groups that are led by parents, guardians, and caregivers of children and youth, created specifically for parents, guardians, and caregivers of children and youth, helping to address one priority outcome associated with this grant, creating solutions to improve the social and economic well-being of families and children, prioritizing Black and Indigenous communities. There are three key requirements for groups funded through family innovation streams. As part of this grant stream, all groups must work with an organizational mentor, which is an incorporated, not for profit, registered charity or First Nation that provides legal and financial oversight. Work with the evaluation team to assess the impact of their project. Engage in capacity building activities. We'll look at each of these requirements in more detail in the next few slides. All grassroots groups will have to work with an organizational mentor. The OM is the official grantee with the Ontario Trillium Foundation. They are responsible to oversee the grant funds and ensure that the grassroots groups deliver the project outlined in the contract. An OM is an incorporated nonprofit organization, charity, or First Nation that can provide your group with formal oversight. An OM plays multiple roles, including administrative support, governance, and financial accountability, as well as administrative, project, and mentoring support. The involvement of an OM is what enables us to support grassroots organizations that otherwise lack many of the formal government structures required for grant allocation. 15% of the total budget needs to be for administrative support costs required for the OM. Finding the right OM can take time, as it's about building a relationship, so we recommend that you start looking for one as soon as possible. The application process can move quickly once it gets going, and you'll need to sign and submit a collaborative agreement with your OM before your grant application can be finalized. If you'd like to learn more about the OM function, sign up for webinars on our website. If approved for a grant, you'll also be required to work with our evaluation team, who will evaluate the impact of your project until the grant is closed. Our evaluation supports include one-on-one help to develop an evaluation plan and choose the right tools to measure your selected outcome. The evaluation team will support you as you collect data and report on your project results. Capacity building refers to the process of strengthening the abilities of the core group members to effectively grow, adapt, and succeed in achieving their mission. The capacity building budget line is dedicated to funding learning and skills building activities for core group members in the following areas: administration, core group development and growth, sustainability planning, leadership development, program model learning and refinement, organizational development and growth, communications, other project-specific learning opportunities. Applicants are required to allocate $2,000 to $4,000 per year towards capacity building in their budget. Now, we are going to share some information about who is eligible to apply. Applicants that meet the group requirements must also be one of the following: a grassroots group that is not registered as a charity or as an incorporated non-for-profit. If you are a grassroots group from a First Nation, you are eligible to apply. Your group cannot have more than 50% of its members as part of the band office or band council. An organization incorporated as a non-for-profit corporation without share capital in a Canadian jurisdiction. This includes a chartered community council operating under the Métis Nation of Ontario or Inuit communities that are registered as non-for-profit corporations without share capital in Canada. The organization is required to have independently managed revenues of $50,000 or less in either of the last 2 years. All groups must enter into an agreement with an organizational mentor to be eligible for Family Innovations Stream grants. In addition to meeting the requirements of type of leadership to be eligible for a grant, your group must meet the following group requirements. The group has at least 3 core group members. More than 50% of core group members are at arm's length relationship to each other. An arm's length relationship means core group members and organizational executives are not married or related to each other, do not work as business partners, or are otherwise in a relationship where interests may be compromised. Core group members, including board members where applicable, reflect the identities and experiences of the parents, guardians, and caregivers they are working for. The group is based in Ontario. The group exists independently of a larger organization or other non-for-profit, charitable organization, or municipality, university, school, religious institution, and or hospital. The group agrees to work with an organizational mentor and has the autonomy to choose their organizational mentor, design the project, identify group members, and plan for the future. We prioritize projects led by and for Indigenous, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit parents, guardians, and caregivers, and Black parents, guardians, and caregivers of children and or youth. Note, groups can only apply for one Youth Opportunities Fund grant at a time. If your group has an active Youth Opportunities Fund grant, you can only apply for funding if you are in the last year of your active grant. YOF supports projects led by parents, guardians, and caregivers who share identities and experiences and face the same systemic barriers as the people who will benefit from the project. Projects funded through the Family Innovation Stream are designed for parents, guardians, and caregivers who face barriers. Therefore, we believe it must be parents, guardians, and caregivers who identify the issues and propose solutions to create meaningful change for their own communities. In this way, we strive to uphold the principle of nothing about us without us. For example, Black newcomer parents who have children with learning disabilities living in the Hamilton area are building a program to support other Black newcomer parents that have children with learning disabilities in the area. The parents that are leading the work have experience navigating systems that impact their children's well being and the unique needs, and want to create a support program that helps other parents with the same experience on how to navigate various programs and help offer a reprieve. The following groups are not eligible in this stream: registered charities, religious entities established for the observation of religious beliefs, including but not limited to churches, temples, mosques, and synagogues, municipalities, uh, groups, projects, or programs based at a existing organization, not for profit or for profit, groups specifically designed to serve parents, guardians, and caregivers through committees or clubs of institutions, including municipalities, universities, schools, and hospitals, groups looking to design programming for children, for profit organizations or businesses, and individuals.
We'll now review our priority outcomes. Priority outcomes reflect the changes YOF is investing in. All approved projects must advance one of these outcomes through project activities. The one priority outcome your group chooses identifies the impact your project will have. While many of the outcomes focus on key priority populations or experiences, we will prioritize Indigenous and Black parents, guardians, and caregivers as part of our commitment to addressing systemic barriers to economic and social well-being. Over the next few slides, we'll go over each one of the three outcomes for Family Innovations grants. The first outcome is create opportunities for Indigenous and/or Black parents, guardians, and caregivers to help families build strong community and cultural connections, strengthen relationships, and heal from trauma. This outcome is exclusively for Indigenous-led and Black-led groups to create spaces that prioritize their needs for cultural connections and healing. The second outcome is supporting parents, guardians, and caregivers to navigate and access resources for economic stability. The third outcome is supporting parents, guardians, and caregivers to effectively navigate, access, and influence systems that affect family well-being. We'll now have a look at the YOF's primary beneficiaries. We'll begin with the importance of shared identities. Then we'll talk about identities and lived experiences of primary beneficiaries. In your expression of interest, you'll need to identify the primary beneficiaries of your project and their intersecting identities and lived experiences. In alignment with the led by and for principle, your core group members should share the identities and lived experiences of your primary beneficiaries, which are parents, guardians, and caregivers of children and youth. When selecting the primary beneficiaries of your project, consider the identities of the parents, guardians, and caregivers you aim to support and the core group members leading the project. Through the expression of interest, clearly identify the beneficiaries and explain how your work is tailored to meet their needs. People can have intersecting identities and experiences, which may increase the barriers they face. Throughout the expression of interest, be specific about which parents, guardians, and caregivers will benefit from your project and explain how your work is tailored to meet their needs and enhance their well-being. Priority outcomes identify specific communities and beneficiaries. With these groups, diverse experiences and intersecting identities create additional barriers and influence how parents, guardians, and caregivers access supports. Ask yourself, how do intersecting identities impact the experience of families and youth? Are these experiences static or fluid? How will your work consider these factors? How do you center the needs in the issue you are addressing? Due to current pressures on specific systems, our funder, the Ministry of Children, Community, and Social Services, has identified specific impact areas that they want to see prioritized through our funding. In the following slides, you will see identities and lived experiences. Those prioritized by the ministry will be marked with an asterisk. These priorities support the grant review committee in the grant review process. You'll now need to consider what challenges these parents, guardians, and caregivers face, which will influence the lens of your strategy and help your grassroots group build an effective response for the issues identified. Notice where the primary beneficiary includes at risk of. This is intentional and allows for the inclusion of solutions that prevent at-risk communities from falling into an experience. Ask yourself, how do different aspects of their identities, like race, gender, disability, and socioeconomic status, combine to create unique barriers? These experiences are often fluid and can change over time and in different contexts. From there, gather data about your selected priority population to create a more effective program and solutions. For Family Innovations grants, these are the named identities and/or experiences carried by the parents, guardians, and caregivers for their children. Now we'll dive into what you can apply for. As part of the expression of interest in the grant application, you'll need to complete a detailed budget. You can apply for funding to cover project costs that fit in specific categories as listed here. Use your project plan as a guide and try to capture all the expenses that you will need to deliver your initiative. Eligible budget categories include staffing, full-time staff, part-time staff, space, transportation, honorarium, volunteers, support services, translation, interpretation, childminding, project supplies and materials, project equipment, rental or purchase, food, communications, website, promotions, fees for services delivered, other. Certain items cannot be included in your grant budget. Taxes, such as GST and HST, for which the organizational mentor is eligible for a tax rebate, and all other costs eligible for rebates. Capital infrastructure costs, renovations to space. Contingency costs, costs related to political or religious activities. General or ongoing operating costs, unrelated to the project. Personal, one-on-one professional services, including expenses related to direct therapy, counseling, legal and/or accounting advice. Costs related to paying for participants' groceries, household supplies, or equipment. Bursaries, scholarships, sponsorships, or individual requests, including re-granting funds to other projects or people. Fundraising campaigns. Now we'll review the pathway to apply for the Youth Opportunities Fund, application steps, important tools, and how to get in touch for one-on-one coaching. The application process involves various steps for groups and organizational mentors. Step 1. Once the application portal opens, you can complete and submit the expression of interest by the deadline. Staff review your group's eligibility, your readiness to do this work, the potential impact of your project, and how will you understand the needs, interests, and experiences of the beneficiaries you want to work with. We notify all applicants of the status of their expression of interest approximately 6 weeks after the deadline. Step 2. Applicants with a shortlisted expression of interest will be invited to submit a grant application with an organizational mentor. Applicants are asked to start researching for potential organizational mentors at this stage. You will receive news of the status of your application about 3 months after the grant application deadline. All the information we've shared today can be found on our website and more. Be sure to check out the expression of interest questions to help you complete your EOI. This is the first step of the application process, and start looking for an organizational mentor as soon as you can. Review samples of project plan and budget for your own reference. If you're interested in pursuing a grant with the Youth Opportunities Fund, we strongly recommend you attend the Expression of Interest Writing webinar. Please ensure you are subscribed to our email list and keep an eye on our Eventbrite listings. For those of you who are looking to scale an existing project, we also have a webinar that discusses in more depth the requirements for scale grants within our Youth Innovations and Family Innovations grant streams. If your group is interested, we encourage you to book a one-on-one coaching call with a program manager, which you can do on our website. The call is an opportunity to talk about your project and if it's aligned with this grant stream. Explore groups funded by YOF on our website or on our social media. If you know grassroots groups in your community that may align well with our program, share this opportunity with other community leaders, especially Indigenous, First Nation, Métis and Inuit, and Black grassroots groups. Email us at yof@otf.ca to be added to our mailing list for updates. If you'd like to continue learning, we offer coaching supports and information sessions on all our granting streams, as well as on the organizational mentor model. Please get in touch for more information on any of these supports.